We need to talk about the T-58 and why this might be my next favorite tank. What the heck even is this monstrosity? Well, it's from a series of experimental tanks that gave us my other favorite tank, the T-54E1. But while the T-54E1 has the same hull as the M48, the T-58 shares a hull with the M103. So this is a heavy tank, but it doesn't have a 120mm gun. No, it is a 155mm gun. That means it fires shells that are the same size as this. There are, however, some drawbacks. This comes with only heat rounds. And while they do have 3 kilograms of TNT equivalent explosive, they are still heat rounds. And the only other option you have are HESH. That's a HESH with 22 kilograms of TNT equivalent. While I was recording this video, the dev server got updated, and so a bunch of things have changed. So the reload rate's gone up by 0.8 of a second. So instead of 18 seconds for the full 6 rounds, it's a little bit closer to 20 seconds. Which kind of brings it in line with a lot of the other heavy tanks. But what's really interesting is this HESH round. The TNT equivalent is down to 16 kilograms, but the muzzle velocity has basically doubled. And what that basically means is, if we put the 2 shots side by side here, so let's see, we'll go with this tank over here. So it's 600 meters. Now, if we put the 2 shots side by side, you'll see just how different that really is. And there is another thing as well. Because of the change in trajectory, the round doesn't come so vertical down onto the roof, which means one-shotting enemy tanks is slightly, not by much, but very slightly more difficult. Alright, so let's see what that looks like in practice. We're here on Maginot Line, which has some of the longer sight lines in the game, barring a few exceptions, but also one that I really like to use for ridgeline shooting. So if this ends up being anything like the T-54E1, then I would expect to be able to play it very, very similarly if, you know, it's a heavy tank version of the T-54E1. So my thinking is it's like a slightly slower but more heavily armored kind of thing compared to that. So I should be able to play them very similarly, but I will say though, this being an oscillating turret means your gun depression is quite limited. Same with your elevation angle, so with the previous HESH shell stats that it had, you were looking at like a 200 meters per second muzzle velocity. That meant long-range shots required a lot of elevation, which can be quite difficult.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, that is still a problem. Not sure what we can do about that. The binoculars is actually blocked by the 50, because that mount is so high. Why is that so high? It is weirdly tall. Anyway, alright, let me do something to fix this problem. Right, we slew the gun to the side there. Alright, we got some real long-range tanks. Now, these are bots. Alright, 1900 meters. So we're gonna set ourselves up at about, I think we'll go with 1800 meters. And I've lost the target. Which way am I facing? Which way am I looking? So we still have a fairly high angle for these shots. It's going basically vertical down. I think we're gonna land these hits by just lobbing them over there, and it's really just the explosive power that's doing most of the work. I'm gonna bring it up to 2000 here. I'm gonna aim for the back line there. Ooh, that was a little bit too far. Go down a bit. It really does feel like playing artillery, like actual artillery in War Thunder. The ironic part is that we do have artillery in War Thunder, but you can't use them as artillery. But this is one you can actually kind of do that with. Jeez, that's actually crazy. Right, we've got a tree blocking our shot here, so I'm just going to drop it down a little bit to 1750. I'm going to drop it there. Ooh, just in front of them. So, I mean, the reduction in TNT equivalent isn't that serious. I mean, it's 4 kilograms less thereabouts, or like 6 kilograms less than it was. I don't think you'll notice the difference all that much. And yeah, the change in reload speed, honestly not even that noticeable. Because this is at a BR where anything below 4 seconds is as fast as it needs to be, really. Like, outside of an autocannon, any large caliber gun, you don't need it to be faster than 4 seconds, really. But especially for a 155 like this. Like, this is a... It's easy to forget that, because it does look just like the M103's gun. But this is a 155 and not a 120, so it is actually bigger. Alright, let's see if we can land some more hits. I keep forgetting I can't really use the binoculars. I do hope that that gets fixed, because it is quite annoying not being able to use your binos. Alright, let's go there. Oh, hello. You're gonna be about 1500, I'd say. Let's go there. Perfect. There we go. Right, we can actually range find this. So I have a maxed out crew. This isn't using any kind of laser rangefinder or anything like that. This is just regular rangefinding. But when you have a maxed out crew, it's very, very fast and pretty accurate. But yeah, unless you have a laser rangefinder, or even if you do, don't get too dependent on it. Because don't forget, at top tier, there are laser warning systems as well. And that will get you killed if you laser the wrong person. At the same time, yeah, you have like markers over here where it's like 750 meters, so anything in the C point is 700 meters from you. That's a good way to look at it. Let's see if I can get that. That's 1800 meters. Okay, well, I'm gonna go for this guy right here. I think he's about, let's say, 800 meters. Oh, that was well short. Now, of course, we still have the heat rounds as well, so you can see how well those work. Just gonna fire off our Hesh here. I'll go there. Oh, very, very short. But that's okay. Now we use the rangefinder. So that's 900 meters. He's going away, so I'll do 1000. Keep forgetting the heat round fires a lot faster. Or flies a lot faster, I should say. That's very close. Oh, somebody's shooting at me. We'll go 900. There we go. The heat rounds are still pretty effective. It's just, you know, they're heat rounds, so it's kind of 50-50 whether it'll work. It's kind of annoying, actually, that it's like that, because heat rounds are not that unreliable in real life. But, you know, War Thunder's got to find a balancing point, so that's what they've chosen to do. Oh, we're leaving the battlefield. Uh-oh, let's get back on. I'll range find that land over there, so that's 800. Is anybody coming out? Oh, SU-85. There we go. Yeah, that 3.8 second reload. Oh, we went back to Hesh and I didn't even realize. 3.8 second reload. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, honestly, you can do pretty well with that if you don't miss. But honestly, given that the heat rounds are still good, if Hesh is not your thing, the heat rounds are still good. And I think that's really it. It's that it still works regardless. So, the T-58 heavy tank. Well, yes, it's another premium. There's always going to be a new premium in every update, and I think this is one of those examples of a tank that I think people are going to hate. Because it has that crazy one-shot potential, while also having a blazing fast reload. I mean, sure, they've nerfed it a little bit since they first introduced it in the dev server, but it is still fast. 3.8 seconds is still faster than basically anything else. I think the only things that come close are those AMX-50s. Or something along those lines. Like, any of the French autoloader tanks are definitely going to be competitive compared to this, but those also normally just have solid shot rounds, as far as I remember. Whereas this is heat and Hesh only, so it's sort of like an alternative to that on the American tree, and I think it's going to do quite well. Now, of course, I use heat as the primary round in the T-54E1, and I think it's largely going to be the same for this. The Hesh round is okay, especially since it has a high arc, which lets you kind of drop it on top of enemies at long range. Really useful if they're, like, in cover and things like that, and you need a more vertical angle. It works really, really well for that. But otherwise, as far as brawling goes compared to sniping, this has more potential to do that than the T-54E1. It has significantly more armor. It might not seem like it, but it does have significantly more armor, so you can survive in a close range fight, and you have the rate of fire to back it up. Whereas the T-54, well, it struggles in that department, and it doesn't have the mobility to really do super well in that. This feels lighter than it should be, considering it's an M103 underneath. So I don't really know what to think about that. But who knows. As always, this is the dev server, so everything is subject to change. And if you found this video enjoyable or informative, don't forget to leave a like, and of course subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. My name is Panzer, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. You know, I swear they made the gunshot louder. I might actually go deaf playing this game.